Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sudden Valley Nominations and Elections Committee meeting this Monday, November 11th, 2023. It is 6:39. We'll go ahead and get started. We have Michael Wadsworth with us and Gail Chiarillo. At this point, we would typically approve the agenda, and I did not place that on the agenda, so I guess I would like to amend the agenda to approve it. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. And then at this point, we will approve the minutes of September 3rd and September 30th and November 2nd.
And Rob, I think we can also approve the minutes of September 16. They've been sent to us as well.
Okay,
So I would move to amend approving the minutes to include September 16th.
okay, thank you. Let's do that. Is there any comments or discussion around any of the minutes?
No.
Hearing none, then I think we would approve all of them by acclamation.
Right.
Okay, Diana, do we have any members with us tonight?
It does not appear that there are any attendees here.
Okay, so let's go to the old business of the candidate forum review. Thank you for leading that up, Gail. Is there anything, lessons learned from this year that we can carry forward to next year?
I'm thinking about your question, Rob. Yes, there is something that could be carried forward, and that is, it seems to me in the candidate application for 2025, we might want to ask the candidates to indicate in advance their anticipated availability in October. Because one candidate wrote to me and said, I wish that I had known I had to be available in October, meaning I guess I would have let you know much sooner that I'm not. And so I thought, not that people's plans don't change, sometimes at the last minute, but in other words, if number one, we put the candidates on notice that the forums will be in October or maybe the last week of September, and to let us know with the application if they already foresee a conflict and maybe the date of that conflict. Because if we know, and we can, we'll try and work around it. It's obviously a plus at the candidates forum to have people there in person. That's the point, right? So,
Right.
So that was a suggestion made by one of the candidates, and I thought we could perhaps add that somewhere in the candidate application.
Sure.
We let them know
Sorry, Michael?
that
Say what, Michael?
we would let them know the forum's in October, not that they would have to let us know their schedule.
They would let us know if they foresaw already being available at a certain time, or could let us know at any time, really, because plans change. Because we do have some flexibility in which week or weekend we choose the last.
Sure. If they were to say, hey, the second week in October, I'm going to be gone, we could work around that because the goal is to have all of them there. And that, I think that's good feedback that they gave us. I can add verbiage to that application for that. Text that says, hey, these forums are typically in the month, in 2 of them in October at the meet and greet. Is there any time in October where you will not be available? Please indicate and spot for them to put that on there.
At least it's a heads up to them so they don't act, or feel blindsided by a schedule, you know. So that's number one. Now I had a second one, Rob, for what it's worth. If this is
Sure.
the place for it, though, as you and Michael both know, I went through the questions that were submitted by the members. This isn't how we would change our candidate forum. I thought all of that went fine, no problem. But there, okay, let me just think about how to express this. I sent both you and Michael a list of the areas of concern that I heard in those member questions. Probably I had about maybe 20 plus questions because some members submitted several, right? And I wanted to share those, or I thought NNE might want to share those with the board going forward or with the executive committee, because the executive committee might wish to prioritize some of them. It's that simple. I mean, many people are concerned about non-member use of our facilities and amenities from 2 points of view. Number one, we pay for them, they don't. But secondly, we'd like to use them. And when they crowd our space, then dues paying members sometimes can't access them. So that's a little bit different. And I think I've talked to at least emailed both of you saying I thought we should reach out to the execs or to Keith and just say, here's what we learned. This is what came to us. And we want to share it with the board so that the board could consider, do we want to prioritize any of these? And
Well,
relate.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
The list that you sent us, was that, were those items that people came up to you and said, could you please provide this information to the board?
No.
This was just your summary of the question from the questions that were sent to you?
Yes, these were we solicited questions for the candidates, and these were the areas of the questions. In other words, we're running for the board. These concern us as a candidate for the board. Where do you stand, right? So, no, we weren't asked to do that, but I thought it might be valuable because, to be honest, Rob, I don't think any of the board members who are not running for re-election attended the forums. They may not even have listened to them.
Oh, so did these concerns come from, say, 5 or 10 members total?
I'd say, yeah, about 10 members.
Okay, what I can do, and I'm happy to do this, is I can deliver that to Keith. Let him know that this was what sort of was driven out from several, 5 or 10 members. And it's for him to discern what, how they want to prioritize. I don't know what we haven't even met once this year, so I'm not quite sure what's on their task list at this point. So
You're talking about the new board.
yeah, the board, but I don't mind delivering it to them, but I don't feel that NNE would be in the position to go back to those members that contacted you and said, well, this is what the board's going to do.
No.
Okay.
I don't see any of that. I see this as a tool for the board. One of the questions that, and a lot of these questions had a lot of support. So that that is 5 or 6 members were asking the same question. But one of the questions was, how does the board set priorities? And another question was, why, when we write to the board, do we not hear back from them? So this implies that there's kind of, or has been, a failure of effective communication.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
That's been
know.
going on for years.
Well, yes, but
well-
I think that there's a desire. I think the new board is really trying to be user friendly as much as it can be.
Well, how about if I do this? I'll deliver it to Keith, let him know that this is the sentiment and the concerns that came out from the forums.
Right.
The questions that, we asked for questions, that's what they got. I'll take that. give it,
Mhm.
deliver to them, and, you know, if they do something, if they communicate to me what they want to do with that list, I can let everybody know, but, it's it's a bit outside of our
Brief, I know. It
review,
sounds
but,
like that.
there's
Yes.
nothing wrong with communicating to them what, the question, the topics of the questions and whatnot. Okay. Michael, what about you? Anything, you should carry forward, anything out of the forums and from, in your mind at all?
Um, I um, I missed one of the forums, but the one I was at, I kind of thought, I don't know, I no, not really, I guess.
Okay, all right. Um, I think that from my standpoint and from talking to some other people, I think Karen even gave me some feedback. Maybe the date and the times we might want to look at, we might want to take a look at, when we actually hold them, try to get more people to come and participate. And then some of it is, some people may just want to look at it on Zoom and on YouTube. Would they want to look at those things, during the time that works best for them, and for all of us, that's different. So that's something that, we might want to consider next year.
Well, Rob,
Were they available on video?
they were
Yes.
live streamed
Okay.
and they're available on video. And although we didn't have really super great attendance at these, I did check later and they were being viewed. I haven't checked recently, but at least I know the first one had been viewed 68 times, although there were maybe, I don't know, 20 people in the room. You know, and I haven't checked the second and the third. Well, the third wasn't videoed. It was our meet and greet. Yeah.
One thing we might do, I just thought came to mind is, um, once they're posted up on YouTube, is, request that links to them be put on the web page. And, when the weekly, e-blast comes out, that those YouTube links be on there, so people could readily click on them, and it takes them right to the recording. Uh, but, yeah, oh, that's, that good conversation. Any other thoughts about the, forums?
Yeah, if I don't mind, you don't mind, Rob. I'm just going to make one more plug for my suggestion, and I want to put it this way. I know that there's a protocol that committees follow. You know, it's kind of outlined in Robert's rules. At the same time, in our large community, the number of people who are actively involved in governance and following it are not that many. And so we sometimes rotate roles. You know, I noticed that, you know, people who are chairs of committee one year are not, you know, the next. And I'm talking about the big committees, you know, finance and long range planning and et cetera. Well, ours is big too, but, you know, we have a different process. All I want to say is, I don't think that we need to fear that we're busting in where we're not welcome and making some of these suggestions. Because I think we should avoid siloing where we are so cognizant of protocol that we simply don't share useful communication. For what it's worth, I mean, I think there's the same group of, I don't know, maybe max 50, 60 people in the valley who's pay some attention, you know, get involved, get uninvolved, get re-involved. And so I think that sharing that is okay. I mean, in other words, would I get all this input, you know, substantial input from the members? And again, statistically, you don't need a large sample size to begin to close in on items of importance, you know. Uh, So I just want to say that because I don't feel that in communicating this to Keith or communicating this to the board, that in any sense we're telling them we expect this, or these, we were going to get back to these members or anything like that. But just, this could be useful information, right? These are things that people in the community are concerned about. And moreover, some of you will be running again next year and others may not, but these are things that if the board can show progress on, that is going to create a good feeling in our community. Well, and the
No,
other,
that's
I'm going
good.
on a little bit, but I'll just finish. The other thing that really struck me, say enforcement of existing laws or, enforcement of member, non-member issues, is all of these cost money. How badly do people want them? They're not going to come for free. We're not going to get people doing this stuff and saying, hey, I'm just volunteering. We need paid staff usually to do it. And I think that that becomes another important piece of communication, both to the board, to the governing structure, and to the membership. Like, this is what you want. I've thought about writing a piece for the Views. This is what you say you want. I hope you realize it comes with a price tag. Nothing is free, So if you're going to be totally committed to no dues increase, then you may have to accept things as they are. Uh,
Yeah,
so
sure.
I know this is
I'm not afraid to share information with anybody. My comment was, I don't feel that our committee needs to come back and report on the progress or whether these concerns are being worked on. That's
no.
all I was saying. I don't mind sharing the information.
Oh, good.
I just don't want to create more work for NNE. That's all.
No. We're not. I just thought it was useful. The main thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good.
Uh,
Go ahead, Michael.
I know, I think I expressed my stance on the email that Gail listed this stuff on. All of this is really out of the privy of our task at NNE. I would say it's fine to hand them the sheet and say, here, these were the concerns that came up that we couldn't get them all in the forum, but these are the things that came up. When you only get 900 people out of 3,000 voting, you don't have a lot of interest. I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah.
And it's the same. Well, apparently this year people got out and voted federally a lot more than they had, but there's it's a concern as a homeowner and as a member of the community, but it's not really our role on NNE to try to direct the board in anything other than what has to do with the handling of the AGM.
Sure.
And I mean, yeah, we all know somebody needs to tell the board they need to communicate better and stuff, but they should know that being on the board. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to fix the problems, and that's not our job. Our job is to monitor and be upholding the bylaws and the NNE manual directions for handling an election, and that's all our job is.
Yeah. Good point.
I'm not saying that what Gail is bringing up is unimportant, but it's not our job.
Right. Well,
The homeowners should be encouraged somehow to write the board these concerns and the other, and they should know, and it's the board's job to let them know that there's a cost for this stuff and blah 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 and all that. That's the board's job, or somebody on staff could be directed. We need better communication out here in general, better participation and all that. But it's not as being on the NNE committee. The only reason I'm here is to make sure that if somebody says, well, you guys, I don't think the selection was fair, I can say, no, it was done exactly the way that it's spelled out in the bylaws, and we observed everything. Every vote was, we tried to make every vote count. The ones that didn't were because you didn't follow the instructions. So
Yeah, the whole leading up to the AGM, the election, our portion of the AGM, even the AGM itself, I'm very proud of how that all went. It went very smoothly, professionally, ethically, legally. So, well, we've talked a lot about the forum. I'm gonna take that list of concerns and deliver it to Keith. Why don't we get into the 2023 certification?
The
Gail,
20
thank you so much for proofreading and helping me with some of the mistakes that were done with the letter. I'm just going to kind of briefly go through it. I sent it to all of you, even sent you the new revised letter based on those corrections. So it's typical. I used the same format Gail used last year. It lays out Unilec's participation, the people that were there to observe, the Unilec people that were on hand, our committee and staff. Going through the summary, there was 3,120 ballots were mailed. There were 993 ballots were counted. There was 569 mail-in ballots from both the US and outside. There were 406 that were dropped off by Sun Valley, or dropped off to the Sun Valley ballot box, and 18 voted on the day of the AGM. Unfortunately, 101 ballots were not counted, comprising of, there were 2 members that were not current, but they were able to, by state law, to vote on the budget. 37 ballots were returned late. There were 34 that came late to the Unilec post office box, and there were 3 people that came and tried to vote. Excuse me, 2 that they dropped off in the Welcome Center drop off, and 1 that came at about 12:45, and unfortunately we explained to that person they couldn't vote. Let's see, 4 ballots had no signature. 6 were just had a secrecy only, so we couldn't determine who they were. 62 ballots were returned as undeliverable. Their addresses were not current.
How
No
many?
ballot 60, or excuse me, 52.
Hmm.
And there were no ballots that were considered invalid. In other words, any owner discrepancies. And there was 1 replacement ballot. So with all of the ballots counted, Ray Metter received 713 votes. He received a 3-year term. Rick Esai received 689 votes. He received a 3-year term. Taimee Vandepolder received 615 votes. She received a 3-year term. And Tom Henning received 610 votes. He received a 2-year term. The ACC, there were actually 8 open positions, and only 2 people ran. So Alan Helvigen received 775 votes. He received a 3-year term. And Daniel Vink had 664 votes with a 3-year term. There was no one who ran for NNE. The ballot measure number 1, the budget, there were 621 votes to approve, 340 votes to reject. which it was passed by via that state law of the amount of people who had to vote no, but it should be noted that 65% of those who voted approved the measure. Measure number 2, to revise the bylaw in terms of how we handle when someone leaves the board and someone is placed for the remainder. There was 854% approved, 82 rejected it, and that received a 91% approved measure. Voting concerns, I'm not going to read all this to you guys, but I personally, and I don't believe the committee has any particular concerns. We do have some recommendations and something to report. We placed some countermeasures in place, and both us and the GM feel like those ought to be carried forward into next year. The larger mailer envelope possibly caught more attention, but we don't know for sure. In fact, I think the amount of people that voted has actually went down a little bit from last year. But I think that the larger envelope catches people's eyes, so we should go forward with that. Using AMS. By the way, AMS is the name of the company. It's not an acronym. So the AMS is a printer courier. Some of us got a chance to go up and visit the site. They were extremely professional. Unilect found that they were a little concerned using a different printer courier than what they use in California, but AMS did such a fantastic job and was so communicated so quickly with them that they are, they're in agreement with us to go forward next year to continue that subcontracting relationship. Let's see, the parliamentarian, new parliamentarian, I think he did a fantastic job. He actually reached out to me and gave me some suggestions on the ballot wording. And I think we should go forward. When I say I should say the NNE committee, we should go forward with getting him scheduled in a contract signed next year. I would like the board to ask Joanne before she leaves to get a proposal, to go forward with getting a proposal from Unilect so we can get a contract signed much sooner than we did this year for next year. And so that's the certification letter. Included their certification, their election certification, which does have Catherine's signature on it and a notary stamp on the bottom. It included I guess the Canadian Courier just took a picture of the mailbox that they dropped the Canadian ballots, but that was their objective evidence. It has that and the mailing. So I would move that we would certify the 2024 AGM election. Is there any comments? Questions?
Well, I suppose I have my persnickety comment, and that is, if you want to use NE as the abbreviation for our committee, then we have to look at paragraph 2 on page 1 of the letter, because there is called N and E, N ampersand E. I sent you an email today about that, Rob. This is a tiny thing, and if we don't get the letter corrected, but I just think we should be consistent. I hadn't seen just NE used as the abbreviation. I thought it was N ampersand E, but in any case, just as long as we are consistent, that's the key thing.
Yeah, that's a good catch. Throughout the year, I've been using NE, and I'll remove that. So if we can when we go to approve, or if we do approve, I will do so by removing that ampersand.
Uh-huh.
Any other comments, questions?
On the, just on confirming or certifying the thing, I'd say yes, go ahead. I have other comments that have nothing to do with that, but
Okay,
I think, I mean, we should just certify the election. It went well, it was done, and it is what it is. And I vote to certify it.
Gail,
I absolutely second that. I think
okay,
Going forward, I have no idea how to do this. But there should be, I don't know how you get people to follow instructions. But at any rate, it'd be one, I don't understand why we had 52 undeliverable ballots. The houses haven't moved. Somehow there needs to be an update done of homeowner information so these ballots can get to the proper homeowner. They shouldn't be being returned. That's 50 votes that that should get to the homeowner so they can be that they're delivered properly. As for I don't know how big you'd have to make the envelope or how large the instructions would be to get them in the right spot, but they're all over the place. We got Whatcom County ballots in the Sudden Valley box and Sudden Valley ballots all over the place. And but that's because people don't read the instructions. And we got a bunch of them, I don't know how many, a bunch, but we got some that weren't in the envelope that we should have been, and all. But I mean, so I thought we tried really hard to spell this out without making a 8x10 envelope with instructions in it. But I think what would really help, and again, it isn't Annie's job, but and I posted this on Facebook, it's a shame that we only get 1/3 of the homeowners to vote. It shows a lot of apathy and uninterest in the community. And it'd be nice if somehow we could build better or more interest in the community. And that may have to be done through other avenues of having things that draw the community out and to get them together more. I mean, people are busy, they got a lot going on. This year's election with the presidential crap going on was enough to just about, by the time November got here, all I was saying was, I can't wait till this crap is over so that it's over. I'm tired of hearing about it. But that's, remember, that's my thoughts. Somehow I'd like to see better participation, and that's going to come about by better communication, I think, and community events more often than they are. But that's, again, not Annie's job.
Well,
yeah, in terms of the update, I see it, Gail, just want to respond with one thing. So I know that staff in the April timeframe, I don't know exactly how they did it, but they reached out trying to get people to correct if the official mailing address that Sun Valley had on record was no longer, to get them to update that. The other thing that just blew my mind, when we were in the community, when we were in the clubhouse, in the clubhouse, there's where they used to have the window, there's that little night drop. It says right on there, do not place. There was, Joanne said there were several times when a ballot box was open, there were ballots that were in there that she just picked up and then put in the ballot box. People, I don't know, they don't read. We can talk more about how to deal with that, but I agree with you, Michael. Gail, you had a comment, I think.
Yeah, I had a couple of comments. Number one, on the undeliverables, if they went to Unilect, in other words, if Unilect didn't share the undeliverables, the addressee on the undeliverable with us or with admin, there was no way of reaching our record for that owner, maybe an email or whatever. Right? I mean, Unilect is not going to do that. They're not contracted to do that. So if they are the ones who got the undeliverables or any undeliverables, I would think going forward we would want that communicated, at least, the name and the address that was undeliverable, because admin can check that.
Well, the 52 that we
good.
got must have been wherever they went. I don't know. We could now address those 52 on this year, as we start in January, find out who those 52 people were and get a hold of them and say, can
Yeah.
you update your address? Point blank. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll work with Joanne on that. That's good. That's good comment. Like, as those undeliverables come in, I mean, it's the typical, when you mail something to somebody and it's got the post office has that little yellow label on there, undeliverable. I saw them, but let me follow up and see what I can find out about.
Because they all must have went back to Unilect, because we didn't see any in
They
the
did.
box undeliverable, or they wouldn't be
No.
there. So
No, they all went back to Unilect. So let me talk to Joanne if we have those names, and I can reach out to Catherine and find out what we could do to put a countermeasure like throughout the year, next year. If we do sign a contract with them, could we find out immediately when they start to gather those?
Yeah, they could just send us,
Yeah.
we don't need the ballot. They could just send a little spreadsheet or list.
we should have the balance here in the gun cases that were marked
We
undeliverable.
would. Yeah, you're right, Michael. We would.
Well, point I was going to make, Rob, just really briefly, when I know as long as I've been talking to Michael about our election process, uh, he's always, been a big advocate of let's get out the vote, get out the vote. The thing is that, when we don't have a high turnout, in part, it's because people are reasonably happy with the way things are going. You'll get a big turnout when you've got a big controversy. So, in a sense, it may look like people are apathetic or not interested, but it also means that they're reasonably okay, so it's not exactly all bad. Um, that's just my 2 cents on that one.
You might be onto something because there's only 3 people during member comments at the AGM that spoke. And I've seen it where there were a line of people to talk.
Yeah.
You know? So
So let's create a controversy.
yeah, right. All right. Is there anything
Beware of what you wish
about,
for.
anything else about the election process that we have I want to say we have officially certified the election.
I think we
Is there
that. Mhm.
anything else about the election itself?
So we have, for clarity, we
Yes.
have right now of people in office that have X amount of them have 3-year terms and the rest have 2-year terms.
Yes.
Is there anybody, how do we stand for next year's AGM? Is there only one person going off? That would be AJ.
AJ's going off.
Well, I'm thinking he's been 3 years now, so
Yeah, he goes off next year, or he could run.
Linda?
Pardon me?
There are people who will rotate off who will have completed their 3 years. In addition,
Right.
but it looks like it's only about one person though.
is it? I think Linda is up and Stu Mitchell is up.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh, maybe
Yeah,
it
those
is.
three.
Okay, all
It's
right.
those three.
All
And I
right.
ran with,
Those three.
I had a 2-year term and I'm basically, I've completed that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
AJ will have completed his second 3-year term.
Mhm.
And Stu could run again if he wanted, and so could Linda.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
I was just,
yes.
my thought on that was, it's a large expense every year to do an election every year. It'd be nice if somehow it could work out that there was a gap in between, like have an election every other year or something like that, but I guess it couldn't.
Yeah, our bylaws don't allow us to do that.
Well,
They
you
just don't-
change the bylaws, but
Well, that's
that's,
true.
you
That is true.
know, we're not, I mean, we're not locked in. I mean, if enough people would like to see that, maybe I'll pursue that on my own about trying to see
Sure.
what the community and is there, how could we change this so that we could do an every other year election? And
Yeah.
it might create more interest rather than every year. It's the same thing every year, and some people don't see any changes happening, so they really don't feel like they need to be involved. But like, and I agree with what Gail said, the year we got the most votes was the year we changed the bylaw on dues, and so that was
That's
a
true.
record.
That's
Well,
true.
button topic for sure. But people have calmed down about it for the most part, is my feeling.
Yeah, and I think with the situation with the state law, WCAI or whatever, I can't pronounce the acronym, but
Yeah, yeah, it took the bite out of everything.
yeah, and it's pretty clear that this current legislature is interested in changing it. So I think people have just accepted the way it is. Yeah. All right, so new committee members. When I was in the counting room, Don Jantos and Joe Jean Kos were very interested in what the Unilex process. They had both been on any in the years past when we used to count the ballots ourselves. Don was on the committee when Unilect was selected, so he was pretty familiar with them. They both expressed an interest in wanting to join our committee, and as a result, they went to the Sun Valley website, went into the volunteer application, applied to join our committee. Joanne's vetted them. They're members in good standing. So I would move that we would approve their membership on our committee. They've been around a bit and they have previous entity experience.
Yeah, I was very happy to learn that these two people have come forward. Because as you're saying, Rob, they have experience with the valley, and when they do something, they follow through. I think they'll be, helpful, very
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah. So Michael, any comment, any questions about their past?
I have thoughts. I I've had run-ins with Joe Jean, and I don't want to bring up the us and thems, but I'm seeing what I'm seeing right now is a lot of one side of the valley point of view coming into roles of being involved in the other. I mean, I'd like to get rid of the us's and thems, but I don't know if you can do that ever. But it was one of the reasons I had thought about stepping down, because I've just had some run-ins with Joe Jean. Hopefully I can get along with her.
Well, I think that I understand what you're saying, Michael. I've had that same. There are neighbors. What I've had, I felt like they were attacking me. But what I will say is, NE is is our work statement is extremely clear. We have bylaws,
Yeah,
follow, and we have our NE manual. And outside of that, yeah, we have some opinions on maybe how to conduct, say, a candidate forum or something, but I think that our statement of work is very, very straightforward.
yeah.
So I am I'm really glad that you decided to stay. Your experience is invaluable. I love how I like to talk. You keep me on track. There's times where you get me back off of the taking a right turn because my ADD comes out. So I really hope that you do stay for the remainder of the year, Michael. We need you. Um, so
I'll
um,
second that.
I think the other part of it is these guys are vetted, and as I recall, when you guys approved me, Rich Davis said, "Hey, if somebody is a member in good standing and have the background requirements of the committee, you can't block them." So, not that we would block them, that's not the right word, but so I guess I'm happy they stepped right up and within the week jumped in and said they wanted to help because they know that they heard pretty clear at the AGM we were looking for committee members. All right. Well, what I'll try to do is make sure we stay within the purview of our bylaws and the manual, and we don't get too far outside of trying to stay. Our mission, I've said this many times, and I'll be quiet, but our mission is to ensure that people are aware of elections and the measures, the candidates. They have every opportunity to vote, and their votes get counted, and it be done in a professional, ethical way.
Yep.
And we're going to stick to that. All right. So we will have Joe, Jean, and Don join us at our next meeting.
That's a guy and Joe Jean and a guy.
Don Jantis.
Yeah, that's a guy.
Chance to meet him. He was in the
Okay.
counting room. His role was he was pulling election materials out of the envelopes.
Okay.
And Gene was a silent
I've
observer.
seen the name. I just don't know who he is. All right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we don't need to really meet in December unless there's something pressing comes up. Anybody?
Indeed.
I think
don't
we
see
would meet
any reason to meet in December.
I think if anything, we'll just meet in January as needed. If we don't hear of anything from a proposal from Unilect or a parliamentarian, I think we'll just play it by ear. Sound good?
I just want to make sure, dotting the i's. Rob, did you move to accept the applications from Don, Jim?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
I'll vote in favor of that, and just so. I just, it seemed to me, I wasn't clear that we had our little, motion and vote on it as well.
Yeah, we did.
It probably did, and I think
I would say we should meet January, the last Monday in January, as just a first meeting. What has anybody got any views on what are there things that we should be concerned with, change, add, or anything in an e-manual or bylaws? So I think we pretty well got it ironed out, but just any thoughts for this year of what we're going to do? Otherwise, there's really no, our bylaws say we only have to meet 4 times, and they could all be like August, September, October, November. But I know we need to meet before that to get the contract and all, but nonetheless, I think it would just be an introductory welcome. This is the 2025 group, and
So that would be January 6th. I agree with you, Michael.
January 6th, it's fourth Friday, Saturday of the month. Or fourth Monday of the month was normally our meeting night.
I got you. I got you. So the 27th.
Let's see my calendar here.
Yeah, I got January 27th as the last Monday of the month.
Yeah, the 27th would be our January 1st meeting.
Okay, let's do that. And so we can formally vote. Gail is a yay or a yes for our two new committee members, Don and Joe Jean. Michael, are you voting in favor? Or are you abstaining or no? How do you vote
Of what?
on approving Joe Jean and
Oh, I thought we
Don?
already did that.
Well, I think we're trying to make it more official.
Oh, I already wrote down that we voted and approved it. So yeah.
Okay, so it's approved. All right. All right. With that, that is the last of our agenda. Anything for the good of the order? Thank you again, you guys. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you covering for October activities. And you have a fantastic Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you. You too.
Talk to you guys soon.
Yeah.
Move to adjourn.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.